Hello, my friends. Tuesday, August 8th. Here we are, just a few days before the beginning of One Voice conference in Dallas. Um, I'm excited to be there. I hope I'll see some of you there. I think I did post in the in a feed here, and I posted in the group. Hang on, let me close my email because that's so obnoxious. Um, I posted in the group that on I think Saturday from 11 to 12, I'm just going to be hanging out downstairs, which is where the conference is. It's not up at lobby level, it's downstairs. I'm just going to be hanging out and holding court, as they say. And if any of you are going, I would love to see you. So come and make yourselves known. And then, of course, I'll see you around. And um, uh, I'm sure I'll see you at some of the other sessions and things like that, because I'm going to go to a few myself. Um, so, how are you? Again, I haven't seen you in a few weeks. I've been traveling. I'm happy to be back. I was welcomed by a couple of really gnarly thunderstorms, which was really fun and something I love about Tennessee. Also, a tornado watch, but that's not fun. Um, but I suppose it's better than earthquakes. I don't know. It's so new to me. Anyway, let's get to the topic at hand. But first, if you'd be so kind as to let me know that you're here, I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, let me know that you can hear me and that you can see me. All of those things are very important. So let's see. Says I don't have any comments yet, but then it says I have three comments, so that's really interesting. This may be one of those days where things don't show up. Maybe let me look at my settings. I feel a little bit uh, strange. There we go. Allow viewers to message you. So let's see if that helped. Oh, it did. Okay, that did help. Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, Genevieve, you're going. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so glad. Hi, Larry. Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Um, we are going to talk today about doing other things in voiceover besides sitting behind the microphone. And the preface to all of this, of course, is something that really everybody doing voiceover right now should know. And that is that it's really exceptionally hard to make a full time living doing voiceover. That's the truth. And the vast majority of people doing, you want the volume up? Okay, let me do that a little smidgy. Let's see. Okay, we're going to see. Is that better? I'm hoping that that's better. Um, okay. Hey, Mary. My full time real job prevents me from attending workshops and lives. Well, I'm very happy that you're here. And I can totally appreciate that. We all have to put food on the table. And what a good topic, right? Because it's really, really hard to make a living solidly just doing voiceover. Um, and so that's really the premise from which we start, because I think there's this perception that everybody's working but me. Everybody has long-term clients but me. Everybody is booking from auditions except me, right? I think there's a pervasive sense of that, and that's part and parcel of what happens when we work alone in our booths and we don't interact with each other, and we live in a world that doesn't really um, smile upon vulnerability. And I think to so I so you know, the culture that we live in is all about sharing your success, your success, your success, your success, your success. So that's what we see all over the place. And it can be disheartening when we realize and recognize and are honest actually about the fact that most of our careers feel like one rejection and one little failure after another. That's what it feels like. And so I just want to dispel the myth that everybody but you is working. I just want to dispel that myth. right? And there ain't no shame in that. And if you've been an actor your whole life, you kind of understand that, right? This is why actors are known for waiting tables and, driving for Uber and, doing all sorts of off hours jobs so that they can audition during daytime hours. So that has been a part of my life forever. And, I spent the first 10, 12 years waiting tables while I was pursuing my career. And then at various periods in my career, I took other little side jobs to do stuff. I did. And I would again if I needed to. So let's just start from there. Okay. Hi, Susan. So glad that you're here. Thank you for being here. Um, yeah. So I guess there are there are all kinds of things. I made a little list, right, of things that I know of, and you may know of some more. But I made a list of things that one can do in addition to sitting behind the microphone to do voiceover. And we all know people in this business who do just these things. Essentially, we have this option of becoming a service provider, right? A marketing consultant, building and providing software assistance, engineering, tech advice, tech service, producing, casting, agenting. And last on my list is coaching, and it deserves to be last because it is something that people should really, really think twice about doing until you've been in the business for an extraordinarily long time. This is I have strong opinions about this, but I want to give you a couple of examples, and I'm confident that the people that I mention here, would be fine with me talking about them. So let's see. Dani States. Dani States, voice actor. That's what she does primarily. 1,000%. That is what she does. She's been in the business 10 or so years, I want to say. I think I got that right. She built a software platform to provide services to voice actors. Now, for her, that is a thing that she loves to do and that she's happy to provide. And it brings in a bit of money, right? But it is involvement in the business based on her knowledge of the business and based on what she discovered were her needs through her career. And that there were other types of platforms like the one she provides, but they weren't really specific to voiceover. And so she created one. Awesome. Um, let's see. Um, Jordan Reynolds. He's an engineer. He's a tech expert. He's a booth expert. He's primarily a voice actor, right? But these are areas of expertise, right, that he has cultivated over the course of his career, and he's cultivated over his career in a time when being self sufficient in the booth became a reality and a necessity, right? So he built those skills and now he provides those services after having become an expert at them, right? And which is outstanding, right? Um, I'm trying to think. I want to get into two really sort of big examples of this, and it's really more about the expertise that's cultivated right over years in the entertainment business. And I want to talk about my agent Heather Dame. I've talked about her before. I interviewed her on my podcast several years ago, and I just loved learning her history. She is one of the preeminent agents at one of the top voiceover agents in the country. And she started as an actor. She majored in theater. She's a singer. right? And she thought that she was going to go into the performing arts, right? And then she kind of discovered, I don't really think I want to do that. I think maybe I want to work in production instead. And so through a series of events, she ended up assistant producing on a couple of television shows that were really, really fast paced. Like, what do I want to say? Like, I don't think this was the show, but it's something akin to it. But it was like Maury Povich. I mean, it was like a show that was really fast moving and a show that's produced every single day, right? And so she really learned all these production chops, right? And organizational chops and like how to work in a high quick paced environment, right? And worked there for a while and then kind of decided she wasn't sure she wanted to stay in that business. And I think she intended to do something else, can't remember what, but she ended up in the meantime answering an ad for an assistant at a talent agency. And this was Atlas Talent Agency, and it was assistant to John Wasser, who's one of the principals of the agency. And and she discovered that she loved agenting, agenting. So she kind of ended up on the fast track, right? Because she was really good at it. She understood talent, right? Because she'd been in that mix before. She understood production. She understood the pace of the business, of agenting, right? She worked in all of those things, and it all came together for her um, under agenting. And now she is, one of the presidents of the company. Um, and that's not what she started out wanting to do or thinking that she was going to do, right? Let me take a little break here. Mary, I'm incredibly fortunate to work remotely for a nonprofit on the East Coast. I can use early afternoon hours for recording and slip away for our days. That's fantastic. That's great, Mary. Hi, John. So glad you're here. Thank you for being here. The second person I want to really sort of super highlight is wow, Tina Morasco. Tina Morasco. So now Tina Morasco is, I just love her on every level. I've known her for a long time. I've known of her for even longer. And when I first knew about her, she was a voice talent at William Morris Agency in Los Angeles. Um, and, uh, and and then I was had spoken to someone else that I knew who was having their demo produced by her, and I was like, huh, she produces demos. That's so interesting. I mean, this is a long time ago. This is 15 years ago or so. Um, and of course, I interviewed her on my podcast, and I got her story, right? And so before she was a voice talent, I don't think she ever intended to be a voice talent, not initially, right? She was an agent at William Morris in New York. She built the scale voiceover department there. I think she came in and I think she worked with celebrities in that department, and then because they discovered that she was such a good agent, that they asked her to help build the scale department. If I get some of these details wrong, please pardon me. I'm really, really terrible at details. I'm good at overarching stories. I'm good at the macro, not the micro. And so after she, helped to create that department in New York City, um, she became a voice talent. And after a bit of that, she went, uh, I don't know if it was after or simultaneously, she went back. She went to acting school. She went to acting school, and she became an on-camera talent as well as a voice talent, um, and had success in both of those areas in entertainment. And then a few years ago, she signed on as a casting director, right, for Sound and Fury. And after being at Sound and Fury for several years, She coached a little bit, along the way, like some of us do. And then she just, as you many of you know, she just built this fantastic coaching product, if you will, called the library, which I strongly suggest that you buy. Um, I don't say that about a lot of coaches, but I think that Tina has completely earned her stripes. This is a woman who is truly a coach. And her coaching chops, we can talk about all of her successes, right? Um, and they're all real. But what makes her who she is her capacity to reinvent herself. Because each of those changes in her career was precipitated by a problem, right? By oh, wow, this work isn't panning out. Oh, wow, they're closing the scale department at William Morris. Oh, wow, this isn't happening the way I thought it should. Oh, I better go back to acting school if I'm going to be, right? Everything was preceded by a shift in reality, right? And so these kinds of things are born out of, they're born out of stress, and they're born out of, what some people would call failure. But I don't, it's not really failure. It's a shift, right? It's a shift in reality. And just because we stop working as much as we used to doesn't mean we failed. It means things have moved and shifted, and we have to respond and adapt, right? And so I feel like her story is just the most remarkable thing, right? Because I know all of us look at Tina and go, oh, she's the goddess of coaching. And you know what? She is, and rightfully so, right? She's really, really good at it. And it's because of all of the experience that she has had all over the voiceover business, and her willingness to do something different concurrently with whatever other piece of the business she was pursuing, right? Um, so, um, so she to me is just a remarkable example of, she and Heather both, right? Um, are just, they're remarkable in that way. So, um, what I want to say about this, however, is that just because we decide that we're going to do something inside of the world of voiceover, um, that we're either going to add to our voiceover career or we're going to replace, um, you better be damn good at it. That's the thing, right? Um, all of the people that I have mentioned here are really good at those things that they have, decided that they're going to undertake concurrently with their voiceover careers, right? Um, that it's hugely important, and it's why coaching, voiceover coaching, is last on the list, because people jump in to coaching far too soon, far too soon. And I'll give myself, as an example here, right? I don't think anybody should be coaching until they have 20 years experience in this business. And that may sound like, oh, well, that's not very realistic, but I've been at this for 38 years. And um, 10 years ago, my voiceover career fell apart. Fell apart. 10 years ago, I thought I knew everything that there was to know about voiceover. I thought I had experienced all of it. I thought I had surmounted all of it, and, the bottom dropped out, right? Like it does. Because, you know, there's no arriving in voiceover, right? There just isn't. You're constantly at it, you know? I'll say there's probably, I don't know, three people I know who I feel like, oh, they've arrived, but there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of voice actors in this country. And to know a handful, that have arrived is quite sobering. but but work just dried up for me. And you've all heard this story 1,000 times, so I apologize. But it's one of those things where I had to make this decision. Am I going to continue to mine the depths of this particular field, voiceover, or am I going to do something else for a living? And I decided to mine the depths, and that's when I went back to acting school, blah blah blah. And then I started doing animation and video games, and it took a while. Again, 4 years of auditioning for animation before I ever booked anything. So it's a long road. It's a long and continuous road. But my point is this: now, after 38 years of working in voiceover, I feel like I know enough to be able to hear what voiceover students need and want, right? I'm able to hear demos with a huge degree of objectivity. I'm able to hear talent. I'm able to, right? All because I've been through all of it. I can reassure people that when things are going badly, things can pick up again because I have lived it and I know it, like deeply know it, right? So coaching is not for everyone. And there seems to be this pervasive thing of like, well, if I'm not working in voiceover very much, I'll coach. Oh, I know people who've been at it for less than 5 years and they're coaching. And it's like, oh, that's a frustrating thing to me. And it doesn't mean that they can't be a good coach, right? But it's a little too soon, right? Because people trust coaches in a way that they probably shouldn't, you know. But man, we also tend to get these sort of accolades that we don't necessarily deserve, right? All the time. Um, so coaching, I feel like, um, hold off, Uh, cultivate your cultivate your experience in voiceover, um, and all the things that have gone well and all the things that have gone wrong. If you want to coach, start to catalog those things, right? So that you can use all of that experience that you have you know gleaned over the years, and as you continue to work in voiceover over the year, you're building your cred is what you're doing. But you've not if you've only been at voiceover for 5 or 10 years, you haven't built enough cred. I am sorry to say, right? It's just not there. So um I also wanted to say, like, just before I started this, I got this product out of doing a commercial. I got this product out of my desk here, Throat Saver, vocal herbal blend, right? And I'm thinking to myself, somebody thought of this. I don't know. Was it a voice actor? Was it an actor? Who was it? Somebody thought to make something, an herbal blend for people who use their voices all the time. That's another instance. Like, what can you provide? What do you like to provide? What do you do on the side that you can offer as a service to your colleagues in the business, right? Um, Demo making is another thing, but again, I lump that in with coaching. Whew! Like, you got to know what you're doing to be a demo producer. And there are several who are out there that it's like, I think it's really hard. It's almost like the more well known you are as a demo producer, the more you're likely to be putting your stamp on the demo, as opposed to the stamp of the voice actor, right? So that's a really interesting thing to navigate, right? Because demo producers, they bring their expertise, and it's usually engineering and and all of that to it, um, and it's just becomes so important that the voice actor be highlighted in the demo, not the production values and the production skills, right, of the person creating the demo. Very, very, very fine line to walk. And there are a few who walk it, I am happy to say. But that requires so much skill in so many different areas because it's not just production, right? Um, yeah, that's a complex one. I'll say this: one of the things that I think is missing in the realm of voiceover, particularly in the realm of demo making, is really good script writers. Um, People can have really great production skills and not be great script writers. And we tend to rely on demo producers um, to write our scripts, and that's not necessarily their forte. Some production houses have script writers, on staff, and they employ them and all that. So that's a good thing. But if you're a writer, I mean, if you're a writer and you've worked in advertising, there's a business to cultivate because really great scripts are hard to come by. They're very hard to come by. I think it is the number one uh, um, downfall of demos are the scripts. My opinion, other people have different opinions, but that is mine. um, Let me go through here and see what y'all have to say. Hello, hello. Uh, yes, hello. Susan, you just reminded me that I used to be a production director. I'm gonna yes, do that. Yes. Um, John, Tina is awesome. She's been really, yes, she is. She truly is. I love her to death. Um, I just read that Tina Morasco's The Library goes up in price by September for those interested. Yep, that is true. I read that as well. Robert Paulson, hello. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Tina is terrific indeed. Billy J. Stevenson, you said agreed. I'm not sure to what, but I'm just gonna pretend that you agree with everything I'm saying. Um, Genevieve, I love these stories and examples of alternative extra paths. Yes. Both Heather and Tina, let's see, what happened to that? Uh, Both Heather and Tina know how to pivot. They know how to pivot. That is a skill we should all familiarize ourselves with, right? Um, and really, I'm not going to talk too much longer, but I really want to drive home the point that there is um, there is no shame as a voice actor, as an actor, in needing to have alternative sources of income. None. There's no shame in it. It's a reality of our business. The business today versus when I started is there are an exponentially larger number of voice actors in the business competing for work. Yes, there's more work to be had. There are more platforms upon which voiceover is used. Yes, that's all true. But I would say, even in relationship to that, um, there are just tens of thousands more voice actors. Um, and so it is really hard to make a living. I work at least 5 times harder than I did 25 years ago. And I'd say I'm working for half the money. It's not easy. It is not easy. So I feel like my primary role here is to tell you the truth about what it's like, so that you will not feel badly when you read 100 things and don't book anything. Same here. That's the reality for the vast majority of us. Okay. I know I'm sort of going off on tangents here, but I just want to say that it's all connected, right? Because we don't book as much necessitates our considering other sources of income, and then we tend to feel badly that we have to look for another source of income when, yeah, don't feel badly, because it's true for all of us. Um, it's just the reality of the business. So chin up, keep at it, keep auditioning, and do what you need to do. And if there are things inside of the world of voiceover that you find interesting, that you either possess the skill or are willing to cultivate the skill, go do that. Go do that. And there's something sort of magical that happens too, that when we stop focusing on the things that we're not getting, right? Um, Somehow, we end up booking something, right? Leave town and you'll book something, and then focus on other things. And your auditions will not be so overwrought, right? When we aren't working as much as we want to, um, our auditions tend to become overwrought because we're just trying so hard. We're trying so hard, right? So, time to think about some other things. Um, and your auditions will lighten up, right? So, let me see. Let me see if there's any more. Uh, yeah. Oh, about 20 years experience for coaching. Yes. Well, yeah, I'm so glad that you agree with me about that, Billy. That's great. Rob, thank you, Kay. The odds of booking anything, irrespective of one's experience, are astronomical in this audition climate. It is true. Take that advice from somebody who's been at it for a very long time, who, rightfully has achieved legendary status in voiceover, has created legendary animation characters, right? And he listen to that. The odds of booking anything, irrespective of one's experience, are astronomical in this auditioning climate, right? No shame. No shame. Tammy, I needed to hear this. Thanks so much. You're so welcome. I am going to let you go. I've talked to you for a half an hour now. So, if you're hearing this on the replay, and you have questions or comments, please continue to post them here, and I will address them if they need to be addressed. And if others of you can address, please always do. Please share your wisdom and experience here. That's why we're here. So, that's it. I hope I get to see some of you. I think I will at One Voice, and I hope it's a good conference. I'm looking forward to it. So, I will see some of you there, and I'll see the rest of you in a couple of weeks when we're back for another Ask Me Anything. All right. Take care. Ciao.